please give it up to the Four Freedoms visionaries, Eric Gottesman, Claudia Peña, and Hank Willis Thomas. Please give it up.
Hi, everyone. That was amazing. One thing I love about coming to events like this is it reminds me how much I love people and how important it is to be alive and to remind each and every one of us to be grateful for every breath we get to take and share with another person. So I'm thankful to all of the presenters, thankful to the Skoll Foundation, especially Jimmy Briggs, wherever you are, for supporting us. But even more than that, thankful to all of you for all of the efforts you've made to come here, to share air with us, and to spread love and goodness throughout the world. I'm Hank.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Claudia.
At Four Freedoms, we work at the intersection between art, politics, education, and commerce. We invite artists, institutions, educators, companies to collaborate on projects that bring critical discourse and nuanced insight into dialogue with various issues that are important to our society today.
Our name, Four Freedoms, F-O-R Freedoms, came from the F-O-U-R Freedoms from Franklin Delano Roosevelt, when he said that every person everywhere in the world was entitled to four essential freedoms: freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. We updated the Four Freedoms and updated Roosevelt's vision for them. So our new Four Freedoms are justice, awakening, listening, and healing.
In thinking about healing, Four Freedoms does this thing where we're always trying to bring our most vulnerable selves into the space. So we're going to try some of that out with y'all. I know in this room there are many of us who are lawyers and advocates, activists, scientists, innovators, all sorts of amazing people. And you've been doing a lot of thinking over this last week. Now, my people are Nahua, and we hail from Cuscatán, otherwise known as El Salvador in Central America. Our language is Nahuatl. And in Nahuatl, the word to think is Yul Katetza. Can you try saying that with me? Yul Katetza. The literal translation of this word is conversation with my heart. So to think is to speak to my heart. I want to invite you to think together, but do it in the way of the Nahua. So, over the last 4 days, we've heard many speakers speak brilliantly about all kinds of topics that matter to all of us. They've talked about beauty and destruction and innovation and hope, but there have been many people that also talked about loss. Loss of all sorts. We heard from people talking about losing land in Southeast Asia, all the way to Southeast Louisiana. We heard people telling stories about losing freedoms and rights in authoritarian regimes and also in so-called leaders of democracy. We've heard people talk about losing culture and language and ceremony. And we also heard stories where people told us of people being killed for protecting the land in the Amazon, for being Palestinian, or for being a Black person in America. And so let's just name it together. Many of us are grieving. And when we're grieving, we need to make space for it. Some people in this room maybe are even grieving a loved one, perhaps a parent that passed last year. There might even be someone in this room who lost someone this week. And if that's you, my heart goes out to you. I wondered if we could do this together. Might you be open to saying out loud the names of people you love who have passed on, the names of your ancestors, the names of trailblazers, names of people you look up to who have passed on to the next world. Or perhaps you want to name out loud your relatives in the natural world that you are grieving. Anything at all that you experience loss I want you to say it out loud so that this entire room can hold it together. So if you will, please, and don't worry about speaking over each other. There's a lot of people here, a lot of people on the live stream. Don't worry about that. Feel free to share one name or one thing or 20. We'll hold this space for as long as it takes. But please feel free to share names now.
Yvonne,
Rose. Cecilia.
Ruth.
Thank you for letting us all bear witness and for bringing your people in here. When my sister was dying of leukemia, she asked us, is there anything I need to apologize for before I go? She wanted her heart to be in balance before she moved on to the next world. And since her death, I have sometimes mildly, but mostly obsessively thought about that next world and the ancestors. So much so that I've gotten more into math after a many years hiatus. So check this out. Many of the Native communities think about 7 generations. When you count your ancestors in the 7 generations, meaning 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 second great-grandparents, so on and so forth, it's 128 ancestors for 7 generations. Cool. Now, the math isn't always perfect because depending on what part of the world you come from, there are some regions where people were marrying their second cousins more recently than others, so it's not perfect math. But roll with me anyway. Double 7 generations to 14 generations. When you count that, that's 16,384 ancestors. That's a lot of people. And since there's a lot of people in this room and on the live stream, that means that some of you who don't know each other share ancestors. And the more you go back, the further you go back, the more and more related you are, which is why Native people always refer to folks as relatives. In fact, in Nahuatl, in my native language, the word for person is nugyu. The literal translation is my sibling. So in my language, there's no way to refer to that person over there or that other, because everyone is our sibling, because we're all related.
Culture is coded wisdom. We heard that from Wanjira Muthai this week. One of the things I heard again and again this week is that there's wisdom in the body, in listening to the trauma that our bodies carry. And Western culture does not always honor that. In service of productivity, it alienates us from our intuitions. Now, I was an intuitive child. I imagined I could see and speak into the future. I have this vision of myself when I was 5 or 6 years old on the sidewalk in my hometown, narrating a story out loud to my future ancestors about a sunset that I was watching. I believed I could communicate to my future ancestors across time, even about the most normal everyday things. Later, my intuition was almost educated out of me, but my art practice, through my art practice and through the people that I've been able to be with through my art practice, I've been learning to reclaim it. Art became a way for me to tell stories alongside others about what we could see together. Through art projects in Ethiopia and Lebanon, where my family is from, in northern Canada and elsewhere, I designed collaborative projects where communities could take back the control of their own narratives. And through these projects, I came to ask an important question. What could I unlearn? So when we started For Freedoms, we wanted to invite artists to look anew at modern democracy. The symbols, messages, and icons became our medium, and we wanted to unlearn them and to work with others to replace them. Since then, we've worked with thousands of artists, hundreds of institutions, museums, universities all across the United States, and also in Mexico, Greece, here in the UK, and Jordan, South Africa, the list goes on. Artists are seers. We center being visionary over being reactionary, sometimes even over being practical, just like my 5-year-old self. And despite the horror and terror that is unfolding in this world, I think people are awakening or reawakening to their own creative powers, to their own possibilities that they hold within themselves. We believe everyone is an artist, and that each one of us has creativity to share. As someone said earlier this week, democracy is a story, and we've been working with artists to reimagine that story, to promote a vision of interdependence, one which values the ways we are connected, not the ways that we are disconnected. There are things of value that lie beyond democracy, and that's what we are trying to model.
Most of what we know. Come closer. It's so strange to give a talk and have my friends not next to me. Most of what we know about past civilizations is through their art. There is no civilization without art. Art and culture are what humanity, as we know it, is founded on. Humanity and art are indivisible. So for that reason, we see that all art is political, and the political is personal. You know me.
My best friend for 25 years, this does not surprise me.
So as artists, we reside in the research lab of the collective subconscious. All good research starts with questions. Those questions lead to answers that design our society through technology, customs, and laws. We believe that good art asks questions, and good design answers them. And the quality of the questions dictates the quality of the answers.
How do we bridge binaries?
What's the difference between me and you?
What's the value of that difference?
Where do I end, and where do you begin?
And what happens when we realize that I am you and you are me?
Or that they, who we dislike or do not trust, are us, and that from where they are, we are them. Can we find freedom through nuance?
Who taught you to love?
How do you keep your heart open?
Can we imagine a world where love overrules?
Can we let love quiet fear? James Baldwin once said that the artist's struggle for their integrity must be considered as the struggle which is universal for all human beings to get to become human beings. And these are trying times, but in many ways are no different than any other time. In his prophetic book, 1984, George Orwell wrote, almost 75 years ago, "Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. The past is present. And contrary to what certain people might have us believe, no one has the market cornered on the future. We're all shareholders."
Indeed. Nice. I love these guys. Are you willing to go a little deeper with us? Okay, so because of colonization, hypercapitalism, patriarchy, racism, and our need to protect ourselves from weaponized religion, many of us have become alienated from our own spirit. For generations, people have lost connection to their spirituality. And this has had the impact of our inability to pray together. I was recently in Aotearoa, otherwise known as New Zealand, and every event that I went to with the Maori, they started with a karakia, a prayer. And it was just so cool to go into an art gallery for an opening, and it starts with a prayer. It made me feel so human. And there are people in this room who are very comfortable with prayer, and probably others who are comfortable watching others pray. And for others, it's just uncomfortable altogether. But I want to remind you that each and every one of you comes from a lineage of prayer and ceremony. These lands under us, Oxford, For thousands of years, people walk these lands in relationship to the natural world as relatives. Prayer is a gift given to us by the Creator that for many of us, it was bullied out. So this last invitation, I want to invite you to pray out loud. For some of you, it's just your regular practice. You can just put out a prayer. That is very welcome. For others of you, maybe there's a poem that feels like a prayer to you that you can pull up on your phone right now. Some of you, maybe there's a hymn that you'll sing or a song. Maybe there's an affirmation that you share regularly with your family, a quote that means something to you that you can repeat over and over again for a short period of time while we're here together. Rumi says, there's 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. So anything that is meaningful to you in that way is welcome. Now, for those of you who didn't resonate with any of the invitations I just put out, or maybe you haven't eaten yet, or you ate too much, and so you're not in the mood, that's okay, you can sit back and receive. For those of you who are willing to give an offering to the grief that we laid out at the beginning, and an offering to all your relatives in the room, I invite you to share that generosity. We won't do it for too long, but I promise that the connection afterwards will be worth it if you're willing to be generous. We'll take a moment of silence. Please begin. Trying to make me cry. It's working. Thank you. Thank you for your presence. It's the most generous thing you can bring, and we do not take it for granted. We love you.
Thank you.